So here's the story of Grim Fandango. You play as Manny Calavera, a travel agent for the dead trying to pay off some mystery debt to some mystery higher powers, but he's not getting the clients he needs because of other mysterious reasons. The adventure effectively starts with a mass poisoning downtown, lots of dead folk and perhaps an opportunity to find a decent client there. You go down to the garage to grab your car and driver. You then meet Glottis, a big orange who tells you that your driver has been given the day off. Manny asks if Glottis can drive and he's totally down but needs to get a work order signed so he can modify the car to accommodate this. And this is where the puzzling begins. You figure out the work order thing and drive downtown to find a client. On the way you pass Domino, your smarmy villainous colleague who has already snagged the only good client there. All you're left with is some rubbish rando who's only good enough to be packed into a coffin and shipped to the afterlife, I guess? Your boss comes in and chews you out for not getting a premium client, which is strange since it turns out he's setting you up so that you never get any premium clients anyway. So that was a waste of time, but after doing some convoluted puzzle shit, you surreptitiously managed to find out the name of a perfect client. Meche Colomar. Because Glottis is a mechanicking badass, he's gone and tricked out your car so you can flash over to pick her up before Domino gets there. Since Meche was basically a saint in her life, she should be eligible for the premium get there today double-end ticket on the number 9 train. Strangely, computer says no. Manny says he'll go and straighten it out. Your shady boss Don Capal finds out that you stole the client and is generally unhappy that you're messing up their shady plans and locks you in the garage until they can decide when they're going to kill you, basically. Because dead dying is a thing. Oh, and we find out that Meche has just started walking for some reason. Some strange dude called Salvador pops his head in and is like, "Hey kid, wanna join the revolution and get rid of these crooked assholes?" And Manny's like, yeah, I got nothing else going on. So he takes you to their underground headquarters. Manny says he just wants to get out of here and find Meche, but justifiably, Sal asserts that their exchanging of favors has yet to be fulfilled. So Manny is like, "Okay, what you need fam?" And Sal says carrier pigeons. Specifically of the embryonic variety. Eggs. Young unborn columbidae to be trained into skeletal agents of communication. Also, it's worth noting that all the pigeons in this world are dead and skeletons, so... How? So you go do some more puzzle shit and get some eggs and Sal's like, excellent. But he still won't let you leave because he needs you to be able to access the building's computers. And like all good adventure games, your teeth is what provides that access. You overcome this particular obstacle by dicking around until you figure out that you can make a mold of your teeth. Sal agrees to show you the way out and leads you to the petrified forest and tells you to head to Rubicava if you want to find Meche. You find Glottis, who got fired for his part in the whole thing and really only serves to help pad out the last part of this chapter. I mean, literally nothing of importance actually happens here other than turning the car into a lowrider. Oh, I guess we get introduced to Hector, the main villain, who shoots Manny's boss in a PG-rated cutscene where bullets are replaced by flowers? But Manny wasn't there, so Anyway, in Rubicava we find that Meche hasn't arrived yet. You fall off a thing, meet a sailor, find the dude from the start of the game who's looking for his wife, which we discover has shacked up with some other dude. He goes after her and you just stay there for the next year. In year 2, the full moon is out and boy does it come with a full moon logic as well. Seriously, one of the puzzles here involves standing in a kitchen until a waiter comes in to get something from the pantry. Something he gives no indication that he ever does. You then need to lock him in, which causes Glottis to come looking for more wine and drinks it all from the keg there. Now it's empty, you can then open it with a can opener you find elsewhere and get inside so you get taken down to the basement. But this is only possible after solving a bunch of other shit first. Anyway, time to spend the next hour exploring and slowly coming to the crushing realization that I'm going to need a walkthrough for the rest of this goddamn game. After a year of waiting, we finally see that Meche has managed to make her way here, but is being forced onto a ship by Domino. Then he valiantly gives chase, but is foiled by a bottle to the face by the very hands of the damsel in distress. Predictably, Manny is confused, but perplexingly is still determined to go after her. He approaches the sailor dude from before who says he can follow them with his ship, but only if some very specific adventure game circumstances are met. Circumstances like inciting a union strike and faking someone's death. Like dead death. Like in addition to the death they already have. Anyway.
So let me get this straight. If I get Glottis some tools,
then I can get him a job on the limbo.
and if Seaman Naranja doesn't show up for work,
But he will,
and I get a maritime union card,
which you'll never get.
then I can sail on the limbo in the morning.
Jeez. I guess so.
Okay, so to tick those boxes I have to go back to my club, get the momos from my desk, grab the Gold Flake liquor, get a ticket printer and VIP pass from Charlie, give the pass to Glottis, go to the security checkpoint, drink the Gold Flake and walk through the checkpoint. Carla throws the metal detector out the window, go outside and get it, pick up the can opener, go to the Blue Casket Club, give the momos to the revolutionaries, pick up the book, talk to Lola, go back to your club, talk to Lupe and get an empty envelope, go to the High Rollers Club, convince Nick to talk to Maximino and pick up his cigarette case, take it back to the security checkpoint, give it to Carla who detonates it, receive the key, go to the kitchen and pick up the turkey baster, do the stupid shit with the waiter, jam the forklift in the elevator, get the suitcase, Charlie's a dick, get the union card, go to the lighthouse, roll the dice. Go back to your club, get a girl's coat, find the rusty Yankee clue, go back to the blue casket, fill the turkey baster with the dirty sink water, go to the tattoo shop, put the dirty sink water in the bottle, get the ID tag from the sailor, get the photo finish card from the dude, go to the morgue, throw the tags on the body, give Rambello the metal detector, go to the cat track, use the ticket printer to print a ticket, give the ticket to the ticket dude and get a photo, go to the docks, give the book to Terry, Terry gets arrested, go back to High Rollers, convince Nick to get Terry out of jail, punch Nick in the face, go back to your club, use the panel to make the guy lose, and that's year 2. You get on the boat and, again, just stay there for another year. Or it just takes a year to get... Fuck it, whatever. So in year 3, you were the captain of the boat now. Gotta hand it to Manny, he's pretty career-driven. You're about to dock the ship when one of Sal's pigeons finds you and tells you that Meche apparently threw herself overboard somewhere and that you're about to be boarded by assassins that somehow know you're on the ship. Manny and Glottis lock themselves in the bridge and the only way out of this situation is to literally rip the ship in half. Obviously, they don't make it very far before the ship sinks and they end up in the middle of nowhere. We meet some dude called Geppetto who's just walking around in circles under the sea because he hates boats and is horribly lost. You borrow him and make your way to a giant luminous pearl in the distance. You then immediately sacrifice the gentle stranger you just met to a huge octopus monster and discreetly hitch a ride on the back of an octopus-powered submarine. You arrive at the literal edge of the world and finally meet Meche, who tells you that she's being used as bait to lure you here, which is why she tried to stop you from following her on the ship. You say something rude, get slapped, Domino walks in, ejects Glottis and explains that his plan is to get you to take over his job so he can go back to the city. That's his plan. He then knocks you out and then that's the whole plan, I guess. Manny wakes up completely unrestrained or imprisoned and just resumes foiling the evil plans. He tries to convince Meche to escape with him, but won't budge until he gives her his gun, which she thinks he totally must have, but doesn't because why would he? Jump through some more adventure hoops, find Geppetto who's alive, but understandably unenthused to see you, and trade Meche's stockings for a gun. That's the thing that happens, just roll with it. You find Glottis literally hanging off the edge of the world, nonchalantly working on trying to fix the ship which you hoist up to escape on. After heading back to Meche and giving her the gun, she turns on you and tries to hold you hostage, thinking you actually work for Domino, who, to no one's surprise, is like, I don't care, he doesn't work for me, like, what? He then locks Meche in a vault and still completely ignores the fact that Manny is just running around completely sabotaging his plans. After figuring out this fucking thing, you rescue Meche and then unrescue her and yourself by locking yourself in the vault. Interestingly, you find a whole stash of fake double-N tickets in there which are presumably sold to unsuspecting travelers, further highlighting just how unsavory this whole operation is. Luckily, there's an axe in the room which you can drag around for an hour and a half until you figure out the exact position to drop it on the floor to uncover a man-sized drain pipe you can escape down like a pudgy Italian plumber. You meet up with Glottis outside. Meche expresses how glad she is to see him, even though they've only met like once in a car ride, and you all get on the ship. Domino sees this while being somewhat surprised given all the not much he was doing to prevent Manny from escaping and gives chase. He catches up and waits while you figure out to poke the octopus in the eye, which veers the sub around to the perfect position for your ship to aggressively hug him to death. Dead death. After another year passes, you all finally make it to the gate to the 9th underworld. But this Aztec gatekeeper dude won't let you in without double-N tickets, which I thought you only needed in order to get here. Anyway, this means you have to go back to El Maro to get them off Hector. If that wasn't inconvenient enough, Glottis comes down with a serious case of haven't worked on anything mechanical for a while syndrome and passes out. We also find out that it doesn't matter if you buy a stolen ticket or use a fake one, you still go to hell. We see Nick receiving some of the spiritual justice along with some innocent people, probably? I don't know. Hector sends one of his messenger birds to say he's been watching you, somehow, and that he is coming to sprout you himself. Geppetto is here. How? But gets to be on his way to the 9th underworld. Good for you, buddy. The dude from year 1 that Manny packed into a coffin is here too, and using the mug that he had while sticking things in a toaster, we can invent a rocket fuel to save Glottis by shooting us back to Rubicava on a rocket sled.
Manny, I'm frightened!
Back in Rubicava, we unfortunately find our old bone wagon car elaborately booby-trapped. The solution to this? Get Glottis drunk so he spews all over the floor, then freezes regurgitated liquor so you can walk over the top of it to disarm the trap. With that done, the gang heads back to El Maro. Oh, and Olivia tags along so she can betray you later. Arriving moments later, it looks like Hector's taken over the whole town.
Looks like Hector's taking over the whole town.
Salvador's resistance shows up and takes you back to headquarters. They had managed to infiltrate Hector's ranks to execute some decisive plan, but ended up being discovered. Sal says he'll have to take care of things himself, and Olivia insists on going with him to fulfill her desire to remove his head from his body. Sal's plan is Sal's business, apparently, so Manny comes up with his own plan to get Hector.
Okay, here's the plan. I need a disguise so I can get close to Hector, and a gun so we'll have something to talk about when I get there.
After hours of figuring out this, and Meche taking one for the team, we eventually make it upstairs to Hector's office and see another familiar face. Celso has managed to catch up with his promiscuous spouse and is considering buying a counterfeit double-N ticket from Hector. Talking him into it gives you access to Hector, so you can immediately not shoot him on the spot and allow him to escape with the real double N tickets. A brief failed attempt at running away later, Hector loses the case of double N tickets, which you collect and give to Meche, who heads for the number 9 train. All of a sudden, a bird happens, and Meche throws the tickets back to Manny, who completely aborts the whole situation by jumping into a car Olivia pulls up in, even though Glottis is clearly taking charge of this dilemma. Olivia then shows how much of a backstabber she is by showing you how much back Sal hasn't got anymore.
Hola, Manuel.
She drives out to some greenhouse in the middle of nowhere for your final confrontation with Hector, who finally shoots you, albeit with only a slow-acting flower death bullet, and you stumble outside to deal with it by freezing it off like some vexatious wart. Time for some revenge. You head back to the car and Sal instructs you to find his body somewhere in the field so you can find the key to the boot of the car to get the gun to go get Hector, because there's always time for one more puzzle. Since this whole conversation happens literally right next to Olivia, she of course comes over to inquire what the fuck you were doing. Sal bites down on some flowery cyanide thing in his mouth and spits it in her face, which results in her being very upset to death. Well played, my friend. You get the gun from the trunk and use it on the water tank outside, which pumps it into the greenhouse and sprouts the fuck out of Hector. Manny brings all the tickets back to the 9th Underworld gate and says goodbye to Glottis, who can't leave and doesn't want to anyway, as this is where he belongs. We're treated to a warm, auspicious ending and left wondering what the next world has in store for Manny and Meche. Other than boning. And that's the game.